ئەگەر وەرگێڕی بۆ بام نەکەن و ئەو کەسێشمان نەزانێ لەوە چێ لە غەڵەتیە گەشتنێکە شتێکی بەغەڵەت بۆ بنووسێ و کەسە تووشی کێشە ببێت ئەو کاتە ئەوانش چارتەکرێن.
I'm translating what Sarah is saying in Kurdish Sorani into English and, putting that down as a, English subtitle. Sarah says that if you want to have a, strong community, you have to start, from your own children. The Kurdish sentences sometimes you say one word, it can sort of mean a whole phrase in English, and that can make it challenging. So I'm trying to find, a sentence that will not be, that long, but at the same time doesn't change the meaning of what she's saying. So I'm sort of, writing down a few options and see what the proofreader thinks is the best. Be strong, but don't lose your honor to gain strength. So, what she mean by that is, don't gain your strength, or your power from doing wrong things or from, taking advantages of people or from, selling your body, for example, and so on. The way she says it, خود بهز مکه لسر حسابی شرفت. So you can see how shorter that is compared to that. So I am trying to find the best sentence there is, to write in order to express that, not lose the meaning, but at the same time, not be too long for the subtitle.
It was a good feeling, because for the first time you see a big place like Scotland. It was like a dream. Those things, because for years you lived in a country that was extremely different from here. Its seasons, the rain and the cold weather. I used to feel a bit down because there was no sunshine, but I loved the beautiful sceneries. The thing that made me sad was being a foreigner.
Unknowingly, perhaps people may have tried to help, but we didn't understand the language, and so I was counting coins, and a lady came up to me. And I think she was offering to help me. And I didn't know what to say to her. I didn't know how to answer her. I didn't know how to express to her what I felt or what had happened to me. But I could see in her eyes that she really wanted to help me. But she couldn't help me because I didn't know how to express what I needed.
Especially when we were asylum seekers. They would put us with people who had a low socioeconomic status. When I was pregnant with my daughter in 2003, when I used to go out to go shopping, they used to call me pregnant lady in the lifts. Their children used to hit me. They were violent. They used to kick me. At the time, I couldn't speak English, so I couldn't defend myself. That's why my first year here was extremely hard, until they became more used to us. In fact, I used to avoid going out in the evenings. I was scared.
我怎么样才能让你明白？
Can you tell me how? Ty mi pojasnete.
Co jsem řekla bylo.
Ти могла б пояснити? I don't understand. Я трохи розгублена.
我不带路。爸爸把我讲给你。
Що я сказала?
We were isolated. Our first time coming to a country where they didn't speak our language. And you have to talk like a mute through hand movements. At the beginning, when we arrived, we had an interpreter. And after that, they said that they could no longer have the resources for an interpreter, or the interpreter did not have, had something else to do. So that is why we said there was no interpreter.
When a translator helps us, can we say, when we say so many things, do they convey everything we're saying? Or do they just assume something in a single word and say that instead? That's what I haven't been able to understand yet.
The interpretation is not just about doing the words, it's also about knowing both cultures. It's not enough to know two languages.
When we say one has to convey the same thing in different languages, exactly as somebody says it, what is the actual goal when you need people to understand?
So you need someone who is well grounded in that culture. In my language, for example, the concept of colors is different from in English. So when you're saying something with reference to colors, I'll have to look for how it fits into that target language. Or days of the week, for example. The days of the week are 4, but in English you've got 7. How do you interpret that?
After my case was rejected by the Home Office, I took my documents to the Refugee Council for help. I was going to be kicked out of the accommodation with 2 children. I didn't know what to do. They had brought me an interpreter who, a very bad person. As soon as he came, he accused me of lying before even listening to my story. He said, "You've come here pretending to be a single mom. You've made it up." That made me furious. I said, "Get out. I've been kicked out. I have documents to prove I am an asylum seeker. How can you say that to me?" Even then, I was strong. I made a complaint against him. He became angry with me. So with the little English that I knew, I managed to tell the social worker about threatened me. I didn't go and cry about it. Sadly, when you come here, most of us think that interpreters are solicitors, that they can do everything. We don't realize that they're only interpreters. That's why nowadays, when I help people who have just come here, the first thing I tell them is that interpreters are not everything. Don't tell them everything about yourself, only what you need to, not all of your stories. They won't keep your secrets safe, could even bring you shame.
We could not express everything that we felt to be able to understand each other. And with the lawyer, the translation was very bad because it was every time we had an appointment, it was a different translator. But we have had quite a few bad experiences when they try to persuade us as to what we should say. I have also had experiences of translators who have asked me how to say a word. Excuse me, how do you say that? I don't understand what you're saying to me. I don't know how to explain it, but one comes here with a culture that is very different, where you don't know what your rights are. So I saw it like they're doing us a favor.
There is a risk of people coming to this particular type of translation with no previous experience, with no understanding, and maybe just not enough experience.
So anyone that speaks the language and English, like their own language, of course, then anyone can do this job. They don't need a qualification, which is quite a problem because some of these people speak English to a certain level that they can understand it, but they won't be able to actually speak it. So they know that what's being translated is not the entire thing. I feel like at some point I must have, made a mistake. We all make mistakes, it's normal. And English is not my native language. Sometimes, maybe if I can remember a word, I rephrase the sentence to something that is similar to that word. Sometimes you get stuck on a word. If I realize that I've done something wrong, I would just say, sorry, let me actually change the previous sentence because that's not the correct one. I made a mistake. It's important that you own up to your own mistakes.
In the case of the survivors, you just having had that traumatic experience, it's like you pushing that person way deeper into the problem. You're left with losing trust in the whole process. And if it's a case of someone who's seeking an asylum, you could lose that case and you're being turned back to where you're coming from, to your country. That ultimately could lead to the loss of life.
The big problem is First of all, I didn't have an interpreter, so the lawyer wrote what he wanted to write. When I realized that I read what the lawyer had written, I told myself that that was not what we had said. I think that the third lawyer had much more problems because he sent me 2 emails which were completely different from what I had said. So the case file was a mess. My application was rejected. Not only did they rejected me, I was asked to leave, and I could not appeal. If they had offered that now that you no longer receive government support, and you have come to see us for your case file, and we will pay for the interpreter, I would have accepted. But it was not the case, and it is never the case. So they only say you either understand, or if there is an interpreter, it will be at your expense. And how many lawyers have I had? I've had 13 lawyers. 13. And how many took my money? I couldn't tell you. But I spent my time paying them to reopen the case. In vain. I remained illegal during that time.
When you see death up close, there's a point where you say, we have no choice. We have to go. And I'd have liked my mother to come with us, but unfortunately she is in poor health. How could we enter this country without being returned to our country, without losing everything and being left with nothing? So we entered as tourists. And we paid for a hotel for a week. And we were worried because the days in the hotel were coming to an end. Until my husband asked someone and was told that the best thing to do was to call immigration. So, and the gentleman who was helping him did him a favor by calling the immigration department. We had 2 days until our appointment. To make sure we didn't get lost, my husband decided to go first a day before to familiarize himself with the area so that he wouldn't miss the appointment, because we were worried that they wouldn't give us another chance. And my husband left. He left the hotel around 8 a.m. He took our eldest child. I have 2 children. Without being able to use transport, because we didn't know that we had to buy a card to be able to travel on the buses. English was very difficult for me. For my husband, he understood a little bit. And I was worried, I was crying, I was with our youngest child. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if he was coming back or not coming back or what had happened. And he arrived at about 11 p.m. because he told me that on the way to the place he got lost. He didn't know how to get there, and And he didn't have internet. We had no means of communication. We were alone. And our eldest child was asking for food, and we didn't have. He couldn't afford to buy him anything. And in the hotel, they gave us breakfast, because breakfast was included in the price, and we ate as much as we could for breakfast, and we had to... And we sometimes had to take... I used to take little jam jars or yogurts that they gave us and put them in my bag to give them to my child, to my youngest child, so that he wouldn't go hungry all day, because we could only afford to pay for a donut or a few grapes during the day. And there were times when I said that I'm not used to, we are not used to asking for money on the street, and I said, if we don't have enough money, I'm going to have to beg. But it's like many different mixed emotions, because we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know what was going to come after that. But we always tried not to worry in front of our children, because we don't want them to take on our worries.
Водосіють барвисті квітки.
When I came here, I came illegally because we didn't have passports. Iraqis couldn't travel using Iraqi passports. That's why we had to pass through Iraq's neighboring countries illegally to travel abroad. Your life was at risk by traveling illegally across all those cities and countries until you arrived in the UK. Personally, the group I came with was not big, because we were women. We paid more money because we were worried that on the way we might face violence from the people with us. The more money you pay, safer you are. You want to make sure that you aren't sexually assaulted, physically attacked, killed, or abandoned on the way. It wasn't easy for my family to send me abroad without being certain of my fate during the journey. Because we are still affected by issues related to honor. If something happened, it would bring us shame. Was I sure that the way I traveled was good and safe for me? No, I wasn't sure. But when you decide to take that journey, you have to be prepared for anything, because the person who tells you that the journey is good and easy, if they tell you it's 100% safe, you have to consider it to be 20% or 10% safe or good. There is no guarantee that it is going to be a good journey. You don't know what could happen on the way. But because I paid a lot of money, my journey was better compared to those who spent less money to cross the border. To an extent, I managed to have a safer journey than them, because I paid a lot of money, so that the problem, so that I don't face any violence on the way. the smugglers said to me, "You're very brave, you're fearless." For nearly 2 hours, we traveled, crawling like babies. How were we not terrified? What if we had been shot? What if we had been assaulted? Yes, it has crossed our minds.
So, and this part, you know, she's talking about how she paid more money, you know, to ensure that she has a safer journey. That affected me because I remembered how I suffered back home, you know, using public transport. Sort of that reminded me of, you know, those times. Being obviously a girl, you're always worried, you know, that you might be kidnapped or, you know, sexually assaulted, or, you know, someone just, you know, will harass you, especially using public transport. And that is something that, you know, I use on a daily basis. I would always, you know, worry about what is going to happen to me, you know, when I'm going to, you know, go to school, until I, you know, arrive to school, until I come back to school. And my family would put aside a lot of money for me to use for public transport, like taxis or sort of minivans, you know, the ones that are considered to be a bit safer for girls. I've had, sadly, you know, lots of incidences where I've like faced violence. Even one time the taxi driver attempted kidnapping me, which was quite scary. We face it, and we can't even talk about it because we're being shamed for it. They're fleeing their country because they're not feeling safe. They want to go to a safer place, but in order to get there, you have to take a journey that, you know, might actually cause you more harm than what you're actually facing in your own country. So there's no winning, basically.
I interpret for men and women, but the absence of a female interpreter means I get called upon. I put it in this way: you're an asylum seeker, and you know that how you present your case is important in whether you're being granted or not. So you just accept the male interpreter. When she says, I don't want to talk to you, I just understand. I try not to push. I don't push. Just if we feel it's okay for you, but this is a context in which I'm here for, because you're applying for, seeking an asylum due to sexual abuse, and if you feel it's not convenient for you, so I don't push. And all the time, it could be she don't want to talk because you come from the same place, so she prefer someone outside of her community. Right? Might feel ashamed of the experience, not wanting to talk to you. So I just stay away from that. You being there might provoke or bring out that experience all over again. So I prefer to just I know when to say no. I don't even attempt to say you can trust me, because having had that experience, first of all, the issue of trust in that person is more like it at its lowest. The abuse must have been by a male person. So me going out there and saying, trust me, it's like you're just killing that conversation right from the beginning.
We talk quite a bit about conflict of interest from an interpreter's point of view. In a fairly extreme kind of scenario, one of those days I was asked to go to Royal Infirmary to interpret for a woman, and that was requested by the police. I went there and it was a very bad domestic abuse case. I saw the woman just gave birth, and it was incredibly early birth at 26 weeks. I was looking at this baby in the incubator. I was looking at these large equipments pressing into the very tiny nose. I've never seen a baby like that. It was just all transparent. It was quite an extraordinary scene while listening to the mother. And then immediately after the appointment, which took many hours in the hospital, I was booked to go to court to interpret for the husband who caused all of this. I think this is the sort of things we should avoid, pretty obviously.
There's basically no support from agencies. They should be available in case of something happens. I think agencies could definitely do better. They could start by training the interpreters, both on the ethics of working with gender-based violence as well as specific vocabulary. The organizations could be better at disclosing the fact that the interpreters are going to be dealing with gender-based violence.
Everything about my country. The memories I have from my country keep me going. Everything I did, how I grew up. I spent my childhood and youth there. Even now, every time I dream about Kurdistan. All my dreams are about Kurdistan. I never dream about it here.
Somehow I feel like all my happy memories are from there, even though I've lived so many beautiful things here. I mean, I've had my children here, I've met so many amazing people here, but I feel like the way I felt happy there, I've never experienced this sort of happiness, this ultimate peace anywhere else. And when she says that all her dreams are, there. Like when she dreams, she only dreams about her, country. She doesn't dream about here. I remember, I never, that sort of hit me hard because I realized it's true. I only dream about my childhood, home, the home I grew up in, my neighborhood, my neighbors, my school, with the people that I left behind. I'm with them, in my dreams. My children are with them. Something that my children can't be with them because when I left them behind, most of them are not even alive now. But when I was growing up, I was always having this, big dream that I'll have children and my children will play with them and, they will love my children just like, that like they loved me. But I didn't have that, and that I always dream about that. My dreams are most of the time about that. So when she mentioned how she always dreams about her country, all her dreams are there, she never dreams about here, it really hit hard. Fact that you're the only one, you're watching this video and you're not sharing that with anyone. It's just you, solely you, dealing with the, all of the emotions. And you sort of have the time to actually, watch it over and over. It makes it worse. Obviously, because we speak the same language, so when she expresses her emotions, it feels very raw. The words are actually coming out of my mouth.
I have good and sad memories because we were oppressed. We would always anticipate brutality from Saddam's regime against us. Despite that, I have happy memories. For example, going to school, being with my friends, all those times I used to play with my neighbors. Even now, when we visit my country with the children, I still remember the good things there. Because I'm like a seed that was planted there. My roots are there. Yes, my leaves and branches are here, but my roots are still there.
When the interpreter comes to do their job, at the beginning, we have this, we are reluctant, we tell ourselves, okay, will they really be able to relate the facts? But we can't do anything about it because we are in a country where we don't speak the language, so we trust the interpreter. It is stressful at the beginning because we are not understood. But with the experience we acquire, we also learn to be patient. I have been here. It has already been 21 years. I worked for years and years. I cannot say that my life has changed, that there has been a big change because I live as I was living before. And I am happy that that despite what I went through, and I'm going through, I developed in me something that others cannot touch. I developed peace within myself.
I advise people who are new to this country and who don't speak English not to share all of their information with the interpreter, thinking that the interpreter will do everything for them. When they interpret, they shouldn't assume that they are more important and the non-English speaking one is nothing. Try and help them. Never say, I can't do it. Don't let that stop you. Tell yourself that you can do it. Especially our women. If you become a strong woman, you will build a strong society because you are a mother, you are a sister, you are a woman in society. At the end of the day, no man can be born without a woman. My message to all women is to be strong. But not at the expense of your honor. Being strong doesn't mean giving up your honor.
And I feel, despite the difficulties we have had here, because it has not been easy for us, not at all. But I am happy that now my children go to the park. There are always dangers, because there are always dangers, but we go out. We come home at night. My children go out. And the fear that I brought with me is no longer there. My life has a future in which I thought my dreams had already died. They had already finished. But now I realize that it's never too late. And I still have a chance to dream. I have the opportunity to build a new future.